Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Betweenzone titled May Queen. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen on Spotify, and we're going to listen through it from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Instantly really colorful with the synths. I really like the mixture of the different guitar leads there, as well as the synths, the bass, the tom fills panning around the headphones. There's a nice groove to it. And her realms are our heart's embrace. Okay, I think we get it. Kind of. I'm a little bit, there's a little bit of mystery behind it, but we'll talk about that more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Betweenzone titled May Queen. Now, what do I think this track is about? I think it's about being in the garden of the May Queen. And I'm not sure if that's like a literal thing or like a figurative thing. I'm assuming it's figurative, it's poetic, but a heart's embrace in the May Queen, things take flight. So basically it's a place where our hopes and dreams can come true there. And I think it's a magical place that they're describing in a track which contains some really magical elements. Like I really appreciate the tone of the synths and everything like that, the sequences, the leads and the pads, etc. They create this really interesting and ambient environment that lends credence to some of the stuff that they're talking about, as well as kind of a wistful, borderline melancholic progression that we have in the background there. But it's cool. The vocal style that we have here from the singer is intriguing. I think that we handle ourselves really well in that mid to high range there. We've got another singer who I assume, or maybe it's the same person doing a lower octave take in some of the chorus or later sections there for a bit of extra development there, as well as some sort of side vocals that come in to kind of surround us in the headphones. And I think that we have enough range with both the implementation of the vocals as well as the individual melodies and harmonies there, that it's able to be appreciated and enjoyed. It's simple to sort of process, but it's invigorating. It comes through in the mix and amongst all the other elements within the arrangement. And I've got no real complaints about the vocals there. I like the catchiness of the hook line and the chorus parts, and I think that there's enough differentiation between the when a track that has like verses and choruses and stuff like that. I think we had an interlude as well there, if I'm not mistaken, structurally. It was nice to have a relatively easy to follow structure to this track, because at 3 minutes 18, it's right in that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot there. We're not oversaturating. If we have a song that's less than 2 minutes, sometimes we're missing vital context within the story to be able to understand what's going on, depending on the context, of course. If it's over 4 minutes, we run the risk of maybe overextending ourselves with an existing theme, or having to do too much to potentially change a track to a point where it can potentially become alienating. But we didn't have that issue with May Queen here. We had several verse and chorus sections that transferred really neatly between one another there, with an interlude I think later on. We had some instrumental breaks as well to appreciate the mixture of the different guitar, bass, drum, synth parts. Yeah, we had some distorted guitars. I was just double checking because I didn't want to say, oh, there were acoustic leads when they were distorted leads, right? You know, they'd be kind of atrocious. But moving on, I thought that the structurally the track made sense. The vocals on point were prominent and they were great to listen to, and they told the story well. I feel like there was more nuance to the story, as I was sort of mainly getting the hang of like the chorus parts and everything like that. But that just means there's more value, I think, if you have multiple listens. I typically do these reviews on a first listen basis, but I think there's a lot of value to be had from taking your time with the track and kind of absorbing it in bits, just because the amount of different layers within this piece, and that's a compliment, you know, incidentally. I think it was nice to have alternate leads on those guitar parts, the distorted parts there, working with some pentatonic and bluesy bits. They had a great tone and were scintillating in the mix, and they had kind of that distortion on them helped sort of seg them more neatly into the synths and various patterns there, because the synth leads were a big part of this. We had some sequences with like on the sides there, and dun 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 dun, some arpeggiated parts which are a bit softer and less percussive in their mix there. And we played around with pads and other little devices there to really coat the listener in the environment that I wanted to create. The bass line following the root notes of the progressions eloquently into a T, and there might have been a little bit of movement away from the root notes, but typically they follow through in the low end like quite neatly. And the drums with the chord note pulse, working with some aids occasionally on the cymbals and stuff like that, uplifting where they needed to with various bits of dynamic difference between the chorus and verse sections and stuff like that, were more than enough to keep us going in a way that was very sort of trendy and meaningful. There were also some really interesting guitar, like reverb with delayed effects, which might also have been a synth to be fair, but like just in the sense of like kind of making things a bit more mysterious and magical. Those kind of effects can work as well. And I should also note that the keys, after another quick check, they were quite somber sounding. They weren't trying to overwhelm the mix there. They were more of a sub layer there, but they added a bit of extra kind of weight emotionally to the piece. You could have done that with other instruments like strings or something like that, but I just think the synths were taking up quite a bit of room there. So I think having the keys be a little bit sort of more kind of like a somber was a smart move. A little more sort of sleepy sounding. But there was enough range within the composition. Things were not played all the time. Some of the instruments were coming a bit later on. Things developed and got bigger and bigger as we went along in a way that made sense from a songwriting perspective, whilst also having a similar energy to the vocals throughout, but in a way where it did not detract. We had development there compositionally, made the track more interesting to listen to. The theme overall kind of sounded like it was minor-ish. There was a little bit, like there were major and minor triads, I think, interspersed there, but we were kind of metered as if it was like a cozy kind of sadness, if that makes sense. I think this track would have been a little bit kind of cheesy sounding if we'd gone for that major key feel off the bat. It was like we were trying to be cool about it in a way which is like palatable. There was a lot of sparkle and glow with different instruments playing different bits in the frequency spectrum there, because things weren't playing the same thing the entire time, as I mentioned before. And I think if you can not just have each instrument playing a whole lot, but have them playing little bits, they stack and niche more neatly into the frequency spectrum as well as the stereo field there. But I think in general, the studio recording, mixing, mastering, like we had quite a lot off the bat there, you know. It's not easy to get the mix with those electric guitars and everything like that, the sort of the synth on the side there, the bass and drums and all that, in a way where it doesn't either sound muddy or overwhelming, but we managed to accomplish that, I think. It was great to have the hook line come in to show us that we could handle different ingredients there, and have the vocals when things came down a little bit with the dynamic range in the mix. But again, there were different instruments in different positions of the stereo field as well, so you're kind of chasing those around in a way that was helpful. I think that we deliberately tried to carve a niche in the frequency spectrum on a studio side for each bit in a way that didn't allow them to sort of blur and sort of screw with each other. It was still nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression limiting was handled. And just regards to the quality of the vocal recording as well, I thought that came through nice and clearly there. There was a little bit of work maybe compressing the vocals, but it was a clean take and they didn't need to do any sort of fixing in the mix as far as I can tell. They could just sing. So that was dope. But, effectively, this is my review of this track from an act named Betweenzone, titled May Queen, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check them out via their Spotify and their various digital streaming platforms and social medias. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as yet the hell more than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.